taking me through like a baby. I love this.
Okay, thank you. So
Appreciate
So
it.
today
go
we're
ahead,
going to be
Anna.
more or less.
Go ahead.
No, okay, everybody ready to go? I guess let's do the America. Everybody has to give a thumbs up for us to get started. And then put a one, hell yeah, not a hell yeah, put a one in the chat room if you're ready to go and ready to discuss. I need to see a bunch of ones. If you're ready to discuss and able to discuss, please put a one in the chat room. And let me see who's bold. If there's anybody here just to get the check mark that they attended, but they don't want to discuss or partake, put a zero in the chat so that we can know you. And to help me monitor, but if you see any zeros, anybody that they don't care to learn, they just came to be in the background, listen to some music, eat some food, and go. Yeah, put a zero. Let's know you. Ms. Abiola, you have a question?
I think
Oh,
you
okay.
told them thumbs up, so that was
Yeah.
probably her
Okay.
thumbs up.
Okay. So just before we go on, I said I know we've been sharing a lot of information, and I'll send a link later on, but we do have a Google Drive. I haven't given people access to everything, but I just want to make sure that module 3, we have a planning module. I put in some knowledge areas. These are the workbooks and the presentation, but I want to make sure, confirm everybody has access to the appendix, which has a Google Sheets. You have a template for a project management plan. You have a template for a WBS outline and a project schedule. We'll be going through that. You'll go more in depth in the breakout room. So I'm not going to open it now, but if you can do that during the breakout room, and just to make sure everybody has the links, I'll put it in the chat rooms. So Auntie, I guess, is Mr. Charles here too today, right now?
No, he's not. So we can get started. He'll be joining us later.
Okay, we'll see whether we'll have 2 breakout rooms or the 3 breakout rooms. So let's go through the slides. And so last time we stopped at the shareholders schedule. I guess before we continue, give me just to start interactiveness. Can anybody recall what the takeaway they learned from the last week's class? Anybody want to share what they learned from last week? Nobody learned anything?
Oh, yes, can I go
Akpabio's
on?
hand is up. Mr. Akpabio's hand is up.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead, Deron.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. The key thing I learned last week was how to create key activities that will give the required deliverables based on the project objectives, and also schedule the key activities, have a timeline. For instance, if the project is going to be 6 months, so you schedule the key activities at least to take up to like 5 months. Key activity should take like 5 months. You leave like 1 month for any eventuality, so that if anything come up, you can use the remaining 1 month to tidy them up before the project commissioning.
Yes,
So
that's
those
exactly
were the
what
key things I
yeah, I'll
learned
point out.
last week.
Yeah, in any step, you always want to give yourself a little bit of I guess
Flow.
they say in America, wiggle room together. Like just a practical notice. I guess I can tell the people who are technical in nature, like I think until we don't even plan it, but like I know when I started my job as engineering, if you have a meeting at 8, you don't walk into the meeting room at 8 o'clock. You'll be there 7:50, ready to go. And that's the way you have to. So, I mean, what we're doing is an inherent project management process is leave yourself time so that you have flexibility to work in late. But that's the concept. So, that's one of the key things. Just to get into what we have to talk to is, so one of the things continuing on is you have to manage the scope, the budget, and the schedule. I'm not going to go in depth in this slides. I want you to discuss it in the breakout sessions, but then we're going to come back and synthesize everything. So basically, we talked about the example, I think in previous classes is, let's say you own a car dealership and somebody tells you they've come for the baseline model, but then they start telling you after you agree, like, oh, can you throw in some luxury leather? Can you add a cushioned heated air seats and stuff like that? You might be tempted to just to close the deal, start adding those things. But if you do that, you're doing what you call scope creep and going out of what was agreed to. So be careful for that. Same thing is applied to a project. So when you're talking about scope management is you have to keep that in mind, what was agreed to and what is out of scope and how do you manage that? That's one of the things you agree in a scope management plan. And one of the key inputs is, first of all, to really have a scope, you have to understand what the scope, you have to break down and identify the scope of work. What are you going to do and what are you not going to do? And the other metaphor I'll keep on using is nobody should eat an elephant or kill an elephant, but let's say you wanted to eat an elephant, you can't do it in one sitting. You have to break it down into chunks. And then from those chunks, you break it down more. So that's the key thing, like for the case study we're going to do today is you can't take the whole thing in one setting, break it down into chunks, what needs to be done and which one needs to be done first. And that's the essence of scope management. So one of the tools, and I'm going to pull up an example, is the WBS. Can everybody see when you have a project, you decompose it or break it down into major activities, tasks. So here we have 3 tasks, and then you further subdivide it into subtasks and further subdivide it. So that's one thing for the WBS. And I know I'm rushing through it, but when we do your breakout sessions, it will become clearer. This is another example that's getting more technical, like in the construction and other technical field, we call the subdivided work packages. So you have, if you're looking by, right here, we were looking about activities or tasks. Now you could also call it deliverables. So you break down your deliverables 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z. And from those deliverables, you have work packages. But again, the concept is the same as when you have a major activity you need to do, you need to decompose it into the big tasks or blocks or chunks, and then further start dividing it. And one of the things about a project management, you might just figure out the project and the major deliverables, but you don't have to be the one that gets it down all the way. You could give this to each functional manager you're working with. So in the case of the digital banking, maybe you have marketing activities, programming activities, financing activities, and you give it to your functional managers to help you decompose it. And again, this is an example going more. So once you have something like this WBS, you can start for example, for the schedule and the budget, you can start using these activities here to estimate how long it's going to take and how long it's going to take, how much and how long, and what are the resources needed to accomplish, let's say this work package. What are the activities needed, like 1, 2, 3, 4? You can put an estimate on the manpower, then the time and the cost. So, and then you do it all the way up. So you figure that out for this work package. You do the same thing for work package 2, 3, and so on. And that feeds up into the project schedule and budget. That's what you call bottom-up estimating. So Again, I'm not going to go in depth. I'm going to go more in depth when we come back next week. But in the schedule, you define the activities. You also have to sequence the activities. So, for example, I know we're going to be talking about a wedding today, but then you don't plan the try to think of a good example. You don't put the honeymoon or reception before the engagement parties. I mean, that just makes no sense. Take that to construction. First of all, obviously, the first thing that comes first is the foundation, and then commissioning the rooftop comes last on most construction projects. So you don't put the work activities and the sequence like finish the roof first. It just doesn't make sense. But obviously, like a construction project, you can see with your eyes, so you know what to do. But what if it's a soft activity like the digital banking project? You can start many things, like you can start the marketing campaign. And maybe you start it before you build the app to build momentum, but you probably want to know what the product is going to look like. So maybe the marketing activities start coming up maybe when you're 50, 75% into the project. So those are some of the things you need to think about when you're doing a schedule.
So if I can just also throw something in the WBS and using the wedding example, it is so important for you to understand the related activities and the activities that are dependent on each other. So the activity that if you don't complete, you can't move on to the next. You can't do the next. So in the case of the wedding, date is probably the first thing, or even forget. I mean, these people, they are already engaged now. So you are planning an event. What date are you planning that event for? That is maybe one activity. It may have dependencies and it may not have dependencies. It could be standalone. So the next now is the event itself, right? So it could be getting the hall. Under getting the hall, your breakdown could be paying for the hall, securing a venue, paying for it. Then you have decorators decorating the hall. Then what else is going to go into that event hall, which is one deliverable? So those are some of the things that you have to factor in, but it's important again to know what is related, what the interrelated activities, so that you can sequence them. Because if you fail to sequence your activities, you may end up not able to get to the next one because you haven't done A first. So go ahead, Dr. Charles.
I would be just a minor thing to add. I like what you just said. In terms of getting the hall, for example, you want to make sure you probably want to count or determine the number of guests you are going to have. I know that in our culture, everybody just shows up, but that is a key dependency. So if you say you're estimating to get like, I don't know, 200 people, you get a small hall, you want to take that into account, because if you get too small a hall, you'll be overcrowded. But again, I know that's not I don't know if, but I
No, that's part of the requirement inputs.
I think, yeah, it is important.
But in project management, that is key. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Okay.
And in this scenario, again, security issue is also important. So this is how you start to think of, because the events are different, right? If Muruf and Musura were getting married, maybe they are not as wealthy, they are not as popular. They are not going to worry about security. They are not going to worry about the aesthetics of the venue or the accessibility of the venue, as opposed to Chloe and whoever this person is that is a popular guy. So those are all the things you also have to think about. Those are the front end loading of your events that you have to make sure that it addresses the security concerns, accessibility, and all those things. Those are all going to be part of your requirement for getting a venue. Thank you.
Okay. So that's the schedule. And I said there are many ways to develop a schedule. But again, depending on who your audience is, you want to present a schedule in a way people can really understand it. So this is the activities, phase 1, define scope, and this is like what you call a Gantt chart, and it's a high-level summary. This work, the spread Smart Sheets has the ability to do that, and you see it. And I said in the folder we have a Excel and Google Sheets version. So depending on what tools you have. And then obviously
for your schedule, for your schedule, you are scheduling those activities that build up to, you're scheduling the tasks that build up to the activity. So in this case of events, getting the hall, it could be one task could be going to go pay for the venue. How long is it going to take? That's going to be on your schedule. Do you need a response back from them? How long is it going to take for you to get a response? How long is it going to take for you to confirm? You have to address that as part of your schedule so that you have a roll-up of your time. Going back to the case study we're doing with the apps, your regulatory people, for example, one activity is to submit, or one task is to submit the application. Another task is to review the application. Another task is to get approval for the application. So the application is going to take 5 days. You put it there. Application has to be submitted January 16th, and the duration is 5 days. Application needs to be reviewed, or the review process will start right after you submit the application, 5 days. Then the next day, or after the 6th day, is when the review starts. How long will it take for them to review? 10 days. So you are now moving, you are now seeing the calendar. You're now seeing you're seeing the calendar for that process. So if you're budgeting, if you're factoring that it's going to take, you're getting your approval on June 16th. What are the tasks or activities that build up to that June 16th? You have to see it there. Because if it changes, that means you're not going to get that approval on June 16th. That's where you need to be able to track and follow the different tasks and activities.
And
Thank you.
yes, and we're good before we get into the case study. We actually have so going back to Mr. Charles, talking about the venue, we actually have 2 event planners who have students. So we're actually going to talk through. They're going to give us real life example before we go into the breakout. So Mr. Ebuka is going to share some examples of how we approach it. So I'm just going through this fast, but we're actually going to go back and come into detail. So that's project scheduling, then budgeting. And before we go into, let me just show you gentlemen real quick. So let's just use this example. So you have this work packages and you have an activity. So what you do is you determine the resource, the time, and the cost. And so you kind of have to have that match. Your schedule has to match your budget. And when you're linking it, and all these things go into your package. So for example, if you say this activity 1, it's going to take 10 man hours to do it, and you need 2 people, and those 2 people are 50,000 naira per hour. So you use that same information in your schedule and budget. You can't base your budget on, I mean, it does happen in the real world, but in the ideal situation, you can't base your budget on something here and then estimate that the amount of time from something here. They have to be based on the same approach and situation. So just something to keep in mind. And this is what your budget might look like. And again, we're going to use the smart sheet. You're going to look at it when you go into the breakout sessions, but you want a summary project.
Yeah, let me show an example of a budget that I created. 1 second. So I will show you this just because the reason I'm showing this to you is because of the different components that you need to break down. So this is the project, right? So I have the different things that I have to pay for this project. I have the total project scope, how much that is. I have client service department that I have to pay for. I have project management services. I have regulatory affairs. Those are some of the approvals that I need. In this case, it's your the bank, the regulatory people. There is a fee. You have to account for that. In construction, we use percentages. We have the hard cost and the soft cost. So it's important for you to understand and identify all the different groups that you have to that you have to pay, or the expenses, different groups or expenses. And then remember, this is projection. You're projecting it now. As part of that, your 5 million that you got, you start to break it down. You're estimating. So you start off with an estimate, and then as you go through the process, it becomes more definite. But your 5 million naira that you got, you have to subdivide it into where it needs to go. And this helps you understand where you may need more money. If your scope, for example, is already 4 million, then you know that if your scope is 4 million and the regulatory permit fee is 500,000, you know that you're going to need more money for all the other related services that you need to deliver that project. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, and we're going to come back to all the project budgeting and everything. But let me switch screens. So the small stuff from the approach we've been taking so far. Let me just, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Let me push it. Okay. So far, we've been focusing a lot on the how of project management, like how you do the schedule, budget, identity, social, and why. And I said most of all, obviously in the digital banking project or construction, it's very applicable. But I had some feedback like people don't see like how you can apply in like in the pharmaceutical situation, if you're a nurse, pharmacist, or even other situations. I was talking with people like how does project management apply in entrepreneurial situations. So just to show you that project management can apply any situation, we're going to focus on the why for a second and we'll see. And obviously we're going to use the Burna Boy and Chloe Bailey. Obviously everybody, I mean, not everybody knows about who actually not everybody knows who Burna Boy, but Chloe Bailey is a famous singer in America. And Burna Boy is I don't want to say this, but he's an Afrobeat singer from Nigeria. But in case this is not something that interests you, you also have the option to use the electric vehicle charging project. But before we go on, I just want to acknowledge all the hard work. And Auntie, I know I was seeing the other group text, but one of our star students so far, I think she's attended every single class, every single workbooks training session during the week. So Auntie, I want to call out and acknowledge Ms. Abiola Bowe for her hard work so far.
And Auntie, she stays for the entire class.
Yes, maybe Ms. Abiola just give us one moment of recognition and all the hard work and what you think of the class so far. And everybody give it to her. Like you can be a lifelong learner anytime.
She's clapping for herself too.
Ma, if you can give a word of your short acknowledgement speech.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate. You're making me to blush. I found interest in this project because my children are all involved in project management. And when they discuss, I just look at them because I've been in the banking world. So when I got this opportunity and I said, I want to do them, even if it's to start using their terms with them, I know I'm not going to go into project management. Permit me to say that because I have a career that I'm pursuing here in America, but I just need to get myself acquainted with some of the things. And I know project management is so wide that wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, you can also always use it. So that's why I took the time to make myself available, and I want to really learn most things I'm hearing for the first time, I would say, because I was in the mainstream banking for 20 years. And that does not include project management at all. They just do the project and they bring to us in the mainstream, and we don't know how it was done. We don't know whatever went through it, what went into it before it was brought to the mainstream banking. So I just take this opportunity to learn about it, and I'm catching up small.
Okay, thank you very much, man. You're doing a
very much. I appreciate.
Everybody give a round of applause for the hard work, lifelong learning. So one of the things I said again is project management. Obviously, in the IT building buildings, it's applicable, and we have some people that are like pipeline engineers, construction project managers, but it's applicable to everybody. I particularly like the case study approach, is where you do it instead of me teaching you. I mean, I could explain, I was like a scheduler, I could explain level 3 CPM, but it's gonna go in, maybe 10% will stay, but the 90% will probably go out. But I think by doing a case study, it will make more sense. And I said, I acknowledge, I've talked to a couple of the students, a typical project management training class is normally like 6 months. We're giving you guys a lot of information, but again, this is just scratching the surface, but it takes a lot, but this is high level. But I hope this case study synthesizes what you've learned so far from the project charter scope, and hopefully have fun.
That's why it's called the project management fundamentals.
So,
yes.
But one of the things, obviously, when you're doing like a construction project, I mean, you might jump into it, but you have to understand the context. And so we're going to give you a little briefing. Maybe, what time is it? The 10:35. Ebuka, and are you there, Ebuka?
Yeah, he's on. I saw him.
Yeah, he's going to talk a little bit about, introduce himself and talk about his event planning career and how he approaches. It's your time, sir.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Hi. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. Hi. Just a brief introduction. My name is Ebuka Daniel, and I'm out here in California. I am a risk management specialist by day, and I also run an event business, which is called ED Events. So when this project came on my laps to plan or work on this project of Burna Boy, the clients, I was so excited about it, and I was like, "What else? Why can't we do it? You know?" And since we have, PM class going on, of course, I felt like I do have more additional hands that could work together at this budget, in this whole planning situation. So I'm just going to share a little bit of tips, and then
actually, Ebuka, before we go, we have another student from Nigeria who has event planning. Actually, I didn't get their name, but I don't know if they can introduce themselves. I'm not sure if it was Rebecca, but their username on the WhatsApp is not their real name. But if the person is in the group, I know he or she had some family issues yesterday to take care of. But if you can introduce yourself, then we'll come back to you, Ebuka.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I'm here. I'm Sikak Akpabio. Actually,
can you introduce yourself one more time?
Sikak Akpabio.
Okay, Sikak, how are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Okay, just introduce yourself briefly, your event planning experience, and you and Ebuka, with Ebuka going first, just talk about how you approach event planning. Then you also tell us how you event approach, but just introduce yourself and then be on standby to go after Ebuka.
Okay, so I am an ICT consultant, web developer, also into digital marketing. And most times I do get called in by my clients to plan some of their events that I'm going to be part of. Maybe I have one IT services I'm going to render during the event. Maybe like live streaming the event. So most times they do bring me in to participate in planning those events. So by so doing, I've been able to gather some event planning
Plan. Okay.
experience.
Great, we'll share that. But going back to let Ebuka go a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back to you and you'll give your take on how you approach this project, and we'll move on. So Ebuka, go back to you, please.
Okay, thank you. So, just real quick, when handling this kind of events, it's very important, as our lecturers have earlier said, the key things. So you have to know what's important. Based on this project, I'm just going to pick what we have available information provided to us. So there was no specific date. It just says 30 December. That is so broad. You need to know exactly. You want to be sure to lock down the date. Why is the date important? The vendors you're going to use, the vendors you're going to get involved in the project is very important. The people you need, how to get your actual estimations of the cost, because it's going to affect your budget. For example, if you choose December 25th, that's Christmas Day. Are the vendors you're going to work with, are they going to be available for that date? Which will also be an effect to your budget. Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So, and again, I believe our lecturer, Auntie Juma, has already mentioned so many keys, but I'm just going to repeat it. The venue is very important. But the key thing that drives events like this, such as this level, you want to ask your guest or your client, what is the guest count? The guest count drives the budget. The guest count will determine what kind of hall do you want to do, you want to use. Now, also, you also want to determine if the client wants a lousy, when I mean what lousy, I mean, do you want a big wedding or a private wedding? What is it they want? That's something you get from your first initial contact with your client. You get to understand them. And also, it's important to always remember, even if they are big stars, they still want their personality reflecting at their wedding. And you could always pull inspiration from other people's wedding, but always remember to create a wedding that's different, unique to your client's needs and wants. That's the goal. So when working on this project in your groups, always remember, think out of the box. It's good to have this huge thought process, but try to narrow it down in order to the needs of the client at the end of the day. So it's good to know, one, the date, the venue, your guest count will drive. What would you think? Now, if you're going to use a 1,000 guest count, where do you think during December in Nigeria? What hall will accommodate all of that? It's very important to know that. The security, and then the time. So this is what? This is March. And now you're supposed to be planning a wedding in December. Normally, a wedding process takes about a year. If you are planning a good wedding, it takes about a year because you need time to check venues, search, looking around, confirming that's what they want, what they don't want. And this kind of clients that are very busy, you will need to have a key person that will always approve everything you do at every stage. It's important because if you run into error, they will blame you for it, and you don't want that kind of situation. So having a key person who would always respond or approve the first level, this venue, is this what you want? The approval is a key important thing also. Budget. When you talking about budget, you always want to start with an estimate, and then you now talk about the actual budget. So with an estimate, be honest with yourself, be realistic enough. Don't underestimate yourself, because once you start underestimating yourself, you will run into error down the road. Be honest with yourself while estimating the costs.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we have one quick question, but good job so far, Ebuka. And then we'll spend like 5 more minutes. We'll take the quick question, Mr. Jason, and then we'll come back to the other gentleman who's the event planning to give his take, and then we'll move on. But Jason, Mr. Jason, go ahead.
All right. Yes, it's Gershon. Thank you very much. So my question is, how much planning do you, I would say it's planning, because you're going to engage these people. How much planning do you have to do before engaging them? Because I heard you say something about coming with your own, not overestimating the budget. What if they already have a budget, right? How much work do you need to do? I see the work-based structure that was already discussed, but I'm just saying, at the first meeting, what are the possible questions you ask in such a scenario as this? Thank you.
How about this? So Ebuka, I'll let you answer that, but then after you answer the other gentleman, I'm sure when he's doing the IT and stuff, how he approaches the budget. But Ebuka, you go first.
Okay, so in a situation like that, and thank you for your question. So in this situation, your first meeting with your client is your first meeting with your client is always to listen. You ask them, what do you want for your big day? They will tell you a lot. Right now, this project says $1.5 million. I could tell you back of my mind, because of the caliber of people that they are, the level of friends that they have, I would not lock in on that yet, because by the time you're plugging in the numbers, it could change. So your first meeting with your client is very important. You just ask them the question, what do you want for today? What is the most important thing out of all this runaround we're about to plan is important to you? Because once you get that, you as a project manager, you hold on to that, or, well, as a planner right here, you hold on to that and make sure that on that day it's well executed well. So it's important to listen to them. And if they tell you the vision, you write it down, and then you'll be able to scout and create something based on what they're expecting.
Okay. So just to hear for the other, and Festus will come, Uncle Festus will come to you in a second, but the other gentleman who's the event planner in Nigeria, can you share some of your insights on how you approach weddings or events you work on?
Okay, so thank you so much. Most times the first aspect of it is to try to understand the individuals, the couples, the man, the groom to be, and the bride to be. Try to understand who they are, what's their taste. So we have to get a meeting with them and then have a talk with them and look at like what the first speaker said. What actually do they want? Do they want a high-profile wedding, or do they want a low-profile? There are those that may not even need those kind of open type of wedding, depending on the what decisions they have taken, or depending on the kind of persons that they are. So that kind of meeting is very important. So, and another very important thing is to identify the key stakeholders, because it's not just going to be the bride and the groom to be that will take all the decisions. So the key stakeholders here could be the parents of the bride. In this particular instance, where we're going to look at the wedding between two cultures. The lady is from US, is US based, and then we have a Burna Boy from Nigeria. So we need to listen to stakeholders from both sides and actually get to see what are their concerns, what are the things that they really want, they're looking out for. For instance, I've seen here that we're looking at getting this done in Nigeria. Would there be concerns from the parents or from friends in US about everybody that wants to attend traveling down to Nigeria? Would there be security concerns? So those are the things that we will need to look at, listen to them, and try to find way to address. If at the end of the day, they seems not to agree with everything happening in Nigeria, maybe some aspect of it can happen in US, some aspect of it can happen in other locations, and then some aspect of it can happen in Nigeria, just to carry the two cultures along. And also other key stakeholders could be the close friends of the groom and the bride. They are going to feed you with a whole lot of information, and most times there would be times that you may not be able to access the groom or the bride, especially at the eve of the wedding. So these close friends will be the ones that will be working with you. You'll be able. So you need to get across to them. I need to have that preliminary meeting with them before we now have a clear picture. We have a clear picture of what exactly it is that we're going to achieve. And
okay,
then
thank you. We're going to come back. Just give me a second. We're going to come back to everybody, but I just want to take a quick question from Uncle Festus, and then we'll go on. But before I take that question first of all, before you start a project, the project charter is kind of like the binding document. We don't have a project charter. So everybody should be careful, read the case study. Is there any binding document that says the wedding is going to be in Nigeria? I think it is, but confirm that. Is it a pitch? Could they want it in India or Nigeria or Hollywood? So read the case study and think about that. So, but thank you. But Uncle Festus, can I have your question?
I think you've just answered my question. The location.
I don't know. I didn't answer anything. Don't
I
get
know.
me in trouble, Uncle Festus.
What I wanted to say, you didn't answer it. My concern was the location, given that this is a really difference in culture. When you are doing America and Nigeria, and also the values of marriages in America and Nigeria, they are so different day and night. So to the family here in America, this guy might not even care, might not even have experience, but his social people is very important. It would be very important to her. Then, whereas in Nigeria, Burna Boy, I think he's from Southeast somewhere in Akwa Ibom or so. This cultural presence have to be there if it's somebody who's into culture. So the organizers have to be very sensitive to pull that out and make that the beauty of the day. Otherwise, if marriage doesn't mean anything to the people who are going to be getting married. Thank you.
Thank you. I said nothing is binding. I mean, don't put me in trouble, Wahala. I just heard Amebo news. I didn't confirm anything. Don't hold my stuff.
So quick question. I want us to, what tool in project management are you using to understand this program, this requirement? What is the tool that you are applying for this process? Understanding whether it's cultural sensitivity, location, and all that. What is that tool that you're using, or the background information you have that you're using to manage this process?
I'm using EEFs and my OPAs.
Okay, very good.
So,
what else? What else? What about your stakeholders management and engagement? That is it, because you're understanding they are part of your they are your stakeholders, right? And so understanding their level of influence on the project, and also their role. So I just wanted to bring it back because sometimes when we're using this case study, it can be easy for us to lose track of the project management principles or tools or skills. So that's why I wanted us to bring it and relate it to some of the things that we have learned. Thank you.
I said we're going to give you we're going to go to the breakout sessions in like 9 minutes. We'll ask questions, but yes, relate everything to the project management. When I said we have 2 event planners, they're here to assist us. And I said I've sent the workbook, so everybody should familiarize themselves. I think we're running out of time. We'll make maybe a 30-minute breakout session instead of 60-minute. But again, all the facilitators, we're taking a vacation today. We're going to be there in body, but we're just here to answer questions. You guys have to think and engage among yourselves. I send instructions. If you want to do the project by yourself, or if you want to form teams, all the project managers, you're the guys. So form teams among yourselves, coordinate with each other in the breakout session, develop your approach, but have fun and share your ideas. Keep on thinking. Brevity might be important, it might not be, but build on each other's ideas. And I said,
and if you want to do this by yourself, that means we haven't been successful. If you don't want to be part of a project team, that means we haven't done a good job.
No, I'll say something. There's some people. So when I say by yourself, so for example, there's a gentleman, I think he spoke last week, some people that's very specialized, like they're doing pipeline engineers and stuff. Now, have fun. But if you want to work on the EV project and nobody else in your group wants to work with it, or if you got a bunch of pipeline engineers construction, if you want to work together on the EV project, some people prefer that. But again, you're all the guys, you're all the managers of your careers. But the key thing is link, as Auntie mentioned, link everything back to project management. one of the things, this is a circle Auntie showed at the beginning, is the main thing we focus on: time, cost, and scope. But at the same time, you have to look at risks, resources, the quality of the wedding, what type of wedding, and all those things. And you have to, we call it the sweet spot. So this is one thing to consider. But so, Auntie, can you maybe,
How many breakout rooms? How many breakout rooms?
Same thing. Let's go with the same order. We've been doing 1, 2, 3. So
Okay.
I'm in room 2. People join the rooms, and I said, again, this is we have structure, but again, you're all project managers, but you have to work as team people. We're not going to tell you. You have the case study briefing. Make your teams, get the information, and let's figure it out. But all the facilitators are here to assist you. And for the facilitators, Auntie and Uncle, if you have the access to this, the smart sheet, so if they have any questions about what WBS or stuff, if you can show them. But other than that, everybody have fun, and let's go to the breakout room for 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and discuss if people still have any questions and how they're going to approach it.
Okay. So 3 breakout rooms. Those
yes,
of you
1,
that
2,
can
3.
Manually choose yours, please go ahead and choose yours. And those of you that remain, I would ask you what room you are in, and then I will assign you. But please go ahead and choose your breakout room. We're doing this for 30 minutes.
Yeah, so like 35 minutes. You can put 35 minutes. We'll come back.
Wait a second. I want to make sure that I have the time.
And so Auntie, you're in room 3, Uncle Charles is in room 1, and I'm in room 2. So stick to the rooms you were been in for the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, wait a second. I want to close all rooms because it's not. Let me see. 1 second. Okay. Oh, they've entered. They went into the rooms already. Shoot.
Okay.
Okay, to close, so they'll come back and then I'll restart it. Sorry.
Okay.
Because I didn't put the time.
Yes, 35 minutes is good.
Yeah, so I want them to come back so that I can.
I want to get a piece of cake.
From all this wedding talk, Abby.
Me too. You're reading my mind. I just did the same thing.
Okay, so they'll be back in a few seconds. Room 2. You are in room 2, Boyega, right?
Yes.
So everybody will be back now. Okay, so is everyone back in the room? Well, everybody's coming back now. Okay, option. So the breakout, you said 35 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I had 40. Okay, 35. And then I'm going to bring everybody back 30 seconds. Should I do 30 seconds or 60 seconds?
For what?
For the close, for them to be able to come back to the room, to the main room.
60 seconds is fine.
Okay, so apologies everyone. I had I'm going to open all rooms again now. Okay, so everybody can go to your room. I have opened all the rooms. Okay, very good. Miss Abiola, what room are you in? Is Abiola in your room? Charles, Sir Charles is in room 1.
Room 2.
You are in room 2,
room,
right? Who is in room 1? Who is that in room 1? Alani, what room are you in?
Room 2, ma.
Uncle Festus, you are in room 3. Grace, what room are you in? Grace? Okay. Honorable Ned, what room are you in? Honorable Ned Corey.
I was in room 2 last time, but I don't have a room yet.
I'm putting you in room 2. Okay.
Okay.
Ofe, what room are you in?
Yes, ma, I'm in room 1.
Okay. Mr. Raphael, what room are you in? Mr. Ojifu, what room are you in? What room are you in, sir? Okay. Grace, what room are you in?
I don't have a room, ma.
Okay, I'm going to put you in room 1. Okay, let me put you in room 1. And then Mr. Raf, I'm going to put you in room 1 as well. Okay, so everyone is in their rooms.
Hello, ma. I'm yet to be in the room 1, ma.
I assigned you. Huh. You are in room 1. Okay, okay.
Yes, ma.
You should, it says you are in room 1. You have to join. Do you see join on your, do you see join?
Nothing. I'm using my phone today. I'm not using my laptop.
Okay, I'll put you in room 3. Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Okay, we are all in your rooms now, so I guess everyone is fine. The session will let you know 60 seconds before the room close. Hello, everyone. Everyone should be in their rooms and you should be doing this. Okay, thank you. Okay, room 3. How is everyone doing? Yeah. That's weird. Why am I not in room 3?
Oh my God. Okay.
Ebuka, how did it go?
Okay, so it went well. We're still working on it, and then we ran out of time. We're still working on it.
Yeah,
I said time is more.
time is not our friend.
At all, at all.
We're still working on it. I think the good thing is it got people thinking. It got people digging out. That's the beauty of the
I'm
project.
going to ship. I'm giving everybody an F.
An F?
I don't know about the other team, but my team, they get an F, but they have to make it up.
So we were just getting in the groove of ours, and then we ran out of time. Yeah.
But 30 minutes to form your team member, actually it's more like 24. Everybody had 24 hours, or you had time before you attended here.
Oh, that's true. So that's the thing.
I told everybody we come to share and coordinate and stuff. I said it in the WhatsApp group. I said it in the case study. So I don't want to be mean, but if they say you have anybody to blame but yours.
So sorry, Ebuka, I suggest maybe you create a group so we can have like the room 3 participants join.
We can do that. I think we have to get permission to do that.
I think
You have permission.
Why do you need permission? You guys do a project team that you work for what? Yeah, because this is
Auntie, you're going to cry for a second. I'm sorry. I have some bad news.
What happened?
We created an assignment. We made it clear, and the students didn't read the assignment. They just glossed over it.
So, and I'm also responsible for group 3 because I actually took them through developing the WBS, like showed them. So I took some time doing that, and I also took some time on the schedule template. So I
said there's no right or wrong way, but Auntie, look, here's the evidence. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
This is important, page 2.
The,
Important
the,
name
the, the
notes.
people did not read.
If you don't read the document, then what are we doing here?
As a project manager, you're supposed to read. So I know we're all joking, we're all serious, but it depends on what you want to get out of this. It really depends on what you want to get out of this. So this is part of building your skills and ensuring that we're here to make it practical for you. You can practicalize it and apply it later. It's not just learning, but the hands-on is critical. That's why Boyega took the time to create this workbook. I didn't create a workbook when we first did it. What I did was I gave them the tools, showed them how to do it, and then they went into teams and then presented it at each meeting what they had done. So
I know, and I said I did that, and I did that obviously as a side joke, but also a case study. Like project management is chaos. There's a lot of chaos in the beginning, so nobody should be worried. I said you have the WhatsApp group. You know whether you're in group 1, 2, or 3. Most people are either doing the EV or wedding project, so you can always go back and make up. But I said there's normally chaos in the beginning of a project, and it's up to the project manager to bring sanity to this. So this is the perfect lesson: is you have to have a plan, and like forming up that team, communication channels. It's usually overlooked, but that's one of the most important things. You have to have everybody's emailed and stuff. Now, obviously, we could have helped you, but everybody's communicating through WhatsApp. So this is one of the things you have to do. But so lesson learned for everybody. But again, Auntie, Mr. Charles, and I are just here to learn the question. You've been given an assignment. You have resources as far as 2 event planners. You have 3 experienced project managers, and we have the wedding of the century or an EV project to recharge and charge electric cars in Africa. Uncle Charles, did you want to add a comment? How did your breakout session go?
I do. I think it was a classic project planning experience. Number one, there were a few new people in the group. So, we had new people who were not with us the last 2 weeks. So they took time to get to know themselves first. So that in addition to the assignment, so we have to figure out who is who and what are they going to do. And obviously, you have that initial getting to know you period for them to determine who's going to do what, who's going to take notes, who's going to put the project on the screen. Yeah, I think your 2 groups have already experienced it. It was a case of going through the entire instructions to understand exactly what was required. By the time they got to the details, I think time was running out. But overall,
Uncle Charles, isn't that something you've faced many times in your career? And who brings chaos?
Oh my goodness!
It's the project manager's job.
It is. It really is, because there's a lot of suspicion initially. You don't know who's going to even participate, whether they are there to make trouble or they really want to
this is a classic example. But again, we're here. Anybody has Honorable Ned? How did the experience go? Do you have any question about the wedding? Or I don't know if you're doing the EV project.
We are about to start. Not actually started.
Okay. And another lesson to learn is if you look at classic project management theory, like you're running the show, but you don't have any power over anybody, but you still have to be the central figure driving everything. Like, so all of you are in teams now, but nobody's another person's boss. Everybody's the same. Yeah. So how do you form and execute this team, coordinate and stuff when you don't have hard power over somebody? That's something you're also learning from this. And again, I mean, I wish you guys would have been in the group with me and asked me questions about this. But again, project management, especially in the initiation and phase, it's very, very chaotic. It's when you're in the planning phase, which is what we are now, that you bring order to chaos. So that's one important takeaway. But again, we have 20 minutes. We're going to have 2 workbook review questions this week. So that's a chance to ask questions. So don't worry. But again, form your groups. What key information do you need to ask now to get you started? Obviously, prioritize the key information you need. And we have 20 minutes. But I'm going to come to people. Honorable Ned, do you have everything you need to get started on your project?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Abiola Amowe, any lessons learned? And do you have everything you need to get started on your project? Okay. Mr. Abraham Raji, do you have everything you need and information to get started?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mrs. Adekola, do you have everything you need? Mrs. Afolami, do you have everything you need?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else have any? If you have any questions, insights, or comments to share, if not, we can end at 11:45, and you guys can all get started. And Ebuka, maybe you can close it up for us. If any insights or tips, maybe close it out for us for people planning the wedding project and how your breakout room went.
Oh, okay. So from what I observed with my team, I just had to remind them that it's a project, and that thought process, they shouldn't overthink it, but just you could in the first phase of planning, many things will run through your mind. Just throw it out as it's coming, but write it down, and then you look through it and be able to plan right what does really apply. So breaking it in pieces would help you narrow things down and navigate things as you go in the project. So when it comes to planning of weddings, I'm going to try example now. You will have all those when you're able to identify your stakeholders, the main people to go for money, or what the responsibilities are. You don't forget that they also have outsiders who are going to be contributing thought process ideas to them, that want to implement outside ideas to the wedding. You want to be careful in managing those thoughts. So flushing it out, narrowing it down. So you want to be careful of outside influence, God, my grammar, influence on this. So when it comes to planning, always put things down, write it down. The spreadsheet, by the way, it's very, I mean, the workbook, not the workbook, the spreadsheet, the WBS helps a lot. It breaks it down. It helps narrow the thought. You can see it. It'll help you put things into perspectives, what is needed. Like my team, we're already breaking down location, what will affect the location. And we were able to narrow it down to say if it's Lagos and America, 2 locations. And the roadblock I think we're going to run into is how you're going to have 2 weddings in December. But again, we've not gotten there yet. So it's something we will have to rethink about it. And there's no wrong or right answer, but just always remember it has to be, it's how easy or how visible, how easy are you going to attain to that when you're thinking it through. Just think it through and work with the process.
I have something to add. So we're going to have where I can discuss the case study more in depth, whether it's the EV or the wedding or anything else, this Monday at noon Pacific Standard Time, and also Thursday. But again, I'll put this, if you have really challenges, you can reach out to me privately. And then if you have a team of around 5 or 4 people and you guys just want to schedule one-on-one with me too, we can figure something out. But for that meeting, you have to come prepared. You have to have a general outline. I'm not going to brainstorm with you or anything like that. But again, lesson learned of project management 101, you have to bring order and you have to read the document and the case studies and input to your charter. So please next time read it and come prepared in the class.
And I also want to offer my services, consulting services, to anyone that has a real project that they need help with on the side. Again, part of what Boyega said is we want you to be successful, and the level of your seriousness also is very important. We're donating our time. If you know what the cost of project management consulting services is, you will know that this is not a joke. So if you have a project that you want guidance on, I would also offer my time to you as maybe whether it's your company, whether it's your organization, just to help you get the hang of. Please, if you're not speaking, mute yourself. Please, you're not interfering. It's part of project
Professionalism.
etiquette. Yeah. Just so that we respect each other's space. So I would also be available and on Mondays and on Thursdays, and we can have breakout session. Boyega and I would have 2 rooms, and then bring your project, and then we walk through it. I'm going to be there to consult with you as you're walking through your project. I'm not going to be telling you what to do. I'm just going to be guiding you. If you want to develop your project scope, ask questions, I'll be there. And then at the end of it, you should have a project management plan for your project. So it will be outside of this class, but that's something that I'm willing to help you with, and through this, you're also developing your OPAs that is going to be helping you manage your own projects in the future, your organizational process assets, right? So whether it's your schedule, whether it's your budget, whether it's your charter, whether it's your scope statement that you want to develop as part of what you're going to be using for your OPAs, we will be here. Okay.
I think adding for that attendance link.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I said, I know this class went fast. And didn't see which one is more fun. I'm going to come to Rebecca. Like all our other classes have been structured, but project management is not always structured. This was chaotic, but intentional chaos. So you have to bring order. And we're at Auntie mentioned, we're here to be a resource for you. But again, in your project, you're a PM manager, but the number 1 PM you're for is life and your learning process. So read all the information, synthesize it, collaborate with your classmates, and have fun.
Okay, so just put your name for those that are here. I think I know the ones that were in my group. So just put your name for attendance. And those of, at this point, I already know the people that are going to get their certificates of completion, because those are the ones that have stayed for the class. Some people join and then they are gone for like an hour and then come back and have missed the whole class. So if you sign that attendance sheet, it doesn't mean that, so I know who is here. So I don't even know if it matters really. Just put your name.
Yeah, we'll save it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
So feel free to stay for Circles of Grace. Some of you have been staying. It's right after this. And today we are talking about overcoming fear and doubt on the journey in finding your purpose.
Okay, have a great day,
add something. Sorry. Please, I want to add something. On the attendance sheet, over time, you've said that we should sign the sheet. And the last time I talked about the sheet, I couldn't locate where it is.
I always
you
put
said
it in
take care of it.
I always put it in the chat room. It's there. So today is the only day I didn't put it, but usually it's in the chat room. I put it there.
Oh, really?
So I know.
I've never signed it, but the last time I asked, you said you take care of it. So I didn't bother to sign it.
Okay, that's fine.
He's been I said we know who's been active, so don't worry about that.
Who attends, so don't.
But anybody who, if you want to catch up, we don't know you. I said this case study and demonstrating your understanding is a good way to. It's a good way to demonstrate your understanding. So if you haven't been that active, you might want to spend extra time demonstrating your mastery through the case study. But thank you very much. We'll talk to you if you need to ask specific questions on Monday, and have a good day, Auntie.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you for making always.
Thank
Thank
you very
you
much. Thank you very much,
for
ma.
offering to take us
Thank
on
you very much,
your
ma.
consulting
No,
classes, ma. Thank you very much. It's a big
Thank
deal.
you
It's a
very
big
not
much,
at
honor.
ma.
all.
It's
Thank you,
been
ma.
a great